So what's going on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with another video with a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, Chris the Entertainer. Chris, what's going on, man?
What's poppin', JetsCentral? I met Ian, what was it, a week ago now? We went to the game over at MetLife Stadium for the first time. I was so thrilled. He is my favorite football YouTuber. I saw this guy a couple of months ago, and he blew me away. So when I reached out to him to ask him if we could try to work together, I was so thrilled that he took me up on the offer.
Yeah, man. And for those of you guys who don't know Chris, the link will be down below in the description box on where you can find his channel. He's an up-and-coming YouTuber. He picked the wrong team, as you guys can see, in New York. He should be a Jet fan, but it is what it is. But go check out his channel. He's a great dude. He's a great YouTuber. And, yeah, so we're going to be previewing or I guess predicting the NFL weekly picks. And we're going to be actually doing this from a week-to-week basis, hopefully every Wednesday. That's the plan, right before the Thursday night games. And, Chris, you ready to get right into this thing?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. And I'm excited to have you on my channel every Monday as we discuss. And people can tune in for that as well. But go ahead. Give me game number one.
Right on, right on. So the first game, Thursday Night Football, a day that we've all been looking forward to for quite some time now. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Philadelphia Eagles. Chris, who you got?
I hate to admit this as a Giants fan. You know that I hate Philadelphia. I hate the Eagles, but I got to go with the Eagles here. I think it's going to be a very close game. Two of the more talented teams in the league going at it. This is one of the better games on the first football Sunday.
Right, so you got the Eagles. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons, the underdog. I'm thinking that the Eagles could be a little bit of like a whirlwind. You know, they're going to be raising the banners, coming off a great season last year. They're talking a lot of mess. And Carson Wentz, he's not going to be playing. Nick Foles is going to be in there. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to come in a little pissed off, and they're going to be ready to roll with Julio, Mohamed Sanu, newcomer Calvin Ridley. So I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons.
That's a good pick. I mean, I was up in the air on that. With Foles playing, who knows? But, it could go either way. So let's go on to game number two. We got the 49ers versus the Vikings in Minnesota. I love Minnesota this year. They're one of my Super Bowl sleepers. Go ahead. Tell me who you got in this one.
I got the Vikings. Although I do like the Niners, I like the direction that they're going in. I'm going in this game with the Minnesota Vikings. They're at home. Pairing new quarterback Kirk Cousins up with the new offensive coordinator John DeFilippo, Dalvin Cook coming back. I really think that this Minnesota Vikings team is going to have a great season. I think they're going to win the North, and it's going to start with this Week 1 win.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm going to also take Minnesota. I think Minnesota is going to be like a 12-4, 13-3 type team this year. I love the acquisition at quarterback this year with Cousins. That was kind of the missing piece last year. The 49ers, I'm very interested to see how they progress. I think they won the last 5 games last year with Garoppolo at the quarterback. So it should be a good game. I think the Niners are going to be a pretty good team this year. They might win between 8 and 10 games. But on Week 1, I'm going with the Vikings. I think they're too much for the 49ers to handle.
Right, super talented. So on to the third game. We got the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. Chris, who are you going with?
This is an interesting game. The Dolphins, to me, are one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I'm not going to lie. They're rebuilding. They lost Jarvis Landry. I got to go with the Titans. The Titans, I think, are too much to handle, even though it's a road game. I think the Titans are going to hit them with the ground and pound with that whole attack they got going over there. And I think Mariota is going to put up some good numbers. What about yourself?
Going with the Titans as well. There's just a different feel with Tennessee right now. They got the new uniforms. They got a new head coach. They got a new offensive coordinator. I think Mariota is going to bounce back after having a down season last year. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more, so expect Corey Davis to step up this season. I'm going Tennessee on the road.
All right, game number 4, we got the New England Patriots home against the Houston Texans. That should be a pretty good game as well. The Texans got Watson back. I'm excited to see that game. Of course, that's your biggest rival. Go ahead, tell me who you got.
The Houston Texans will walk into Gillette Stadium and beat the New England Patriots on Week 1, on a Week 1 Sunday. I think the Houston Texans are going to be a little bit too much offensively for New England. I think the Patriots are going to try to keep up with Houston, but I think Deshaun Watson's going to go in there. I am kind of buying the hype right now a little bit with Houston. I love Bill O'Brien. I love the offensive weapons around Watson, guys like Fuller, Hopkins, who's a top 5 wide receiver. Houston's offense was on a roll last year with Deshaun Watson when he was healthy. So I would assume that Deshaun Watson kind of builds upon last year. I have the Houston Texans going into Gillette Stadium and winning. Who do you got?
That is a bold prediction, my friend, because the Patriots almost never lose there. I think the Jets were one of the last teams to beat them in the playoffs at home at Gillette Stadium. There's a good game. I think Houston's gonna be a lot better than people think this year. I think they're a potential playoff team, but I got to go with New England. I think they're too much to handle. Now, last year they did get surprised week 1, if I remember correctly, where the Chiefs played them and the Chiefs knocked them off, and that was a big upset. So it could happen. Week 1, you never know, but I got to go with New England.
Yeah, and another thing, too, I just want to mention quickly is that the Patriots defense last year was not that good. They were good when it counted, red zone. They were kind of the definition of bend, don't break, but they lost a lot of pieces. Malcolm Butler being one of them, probably their number one defensive player that they lost. So I think Houston's going to just go in there and put up a lot of points. So
I mean to interrupt you. Plus they lost Patricia, which could affect them as well. The New England defense, you're absolutely right. Started off weak last year, the first half. Second half they came on really strong as they bought into the Patricia system. So it is an interesting game where they may get picked off.
Yeah, great point. So next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at your team, the New York Giants.
To me, this is one of the top 2 or 3 games of the day because to me, and I'm a Giant fan, I'm obviously admittedly biased. I think the Giants have a lot of talent this year, and I think obviously Jacksonville does as well. This is going to be a very interesting battle because I think Jacksonville's strength is running the football, and I think the Giants' strength on defense is stopping the run. So it's strength versus strength, and I'm excited to see how the new offensive pieces on the Giants with Barkley and Beckham now back, how they're going to perform against last year's top defense. I'm going to pick the Giants in a squeaker here at home for their home opener. I'm going to say something like a 2017 type game. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, fair enough. I got the Jacksonville Jags coming out victorious in this one. Quick shout out to my buddy UCF Jaguar. He's a big Jag YouTuber. Go check him out. But I got the Jags winning. I think the Jags showed last year that the defense that they have travels, right? They play well on the road. They beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh twice last year, one in the playoffs. I think Jacksonville is going to be a little bit their defense is going to be a little too hard for the Giants to consistently score on. I could see the Giants maybe coming away with 7 to 17 points, but I don't see the Giants scoring more than that. I think they're going to shut down Saquon Barkley as far as the linebacking core. Miles Jack, I think they got a lot of speed horizontally so they could shut down the passes in the flat and whatnot. And they're obviously great up the middle, of the defensive line. So I got Jacksonville in this one.
All right, you got to do what you got to do. Our next game, it's probably 2 of the lesser teams in the NFL this year. We got Cincinnati at the Colts. Who do you got in that one?
I got Indianapolis. You got Andrew Luck coming back. He's obviously a great quarterback. And, of course, he's not going to be the rookie year Andrew Luck. He's just been hurt a lot. He's not the tough dude that we once saw. He's just been dealing with injury after injury after injury. Constantly being sacked, constantly not sliding and taking hits. And he kind of I don't want to say he's fallen apart, but it sounds rude a little bit, but he's kind of a shell of himself. But yet he's still a great quarterback. I think the Bengals are a weird team. They're in a little bit of a flux right now with Marvin Lewis. They don't know what's going on with him. Although the Bengals do have some great pieces like A.J. Green and whatnot, I still see the Colts winning at home for their Week 1 opener.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on this. And I think both teams are gonna have a tough year. But this week, I'm gonna go with the home team. It's a good point with Andrew Luck with all the injuries he's had. I hope the Jets don't do that with Sam Darnold. They have to build the O-line, learn from the mistake that the Colts made. But in this game, I think Cincinnati's gonna have a tough year. Like you said, they have some nice pieces, and sometimes they surprise because there's been years in the past where I thought they're gonna have a tough year and they finish with 9 or 10 wins. Marvin Lewis is just that coach. He just stays around, and I don't know what's going. Eventually he's got to get fired, right?
Yeah, I mean, I actually like Marvin Lewis. I'm not like in love with him. I'm not saying like, oh, they need to keep him and stuff like that. But I don't think he's as bad as everybody says, because before Marvin Lewis, the Bengals were absolute travesty. So yeah, we both got the Colts win. So next up, we got the Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. Chris, who are you going with?
This is an easy one. To me, it's the easiest game of the day. I think the Bucs are one of the worst teams in the league. I think the Saints are one of the best, and the Saints are at home where they always play exceptionally well. I think the Saints come out like gangbusters, and they're going to win this game by 10 to 20 points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Saints are going to walk away with the W. Okay, I think Drew Brees, it's going to be a little bit too much for this Buccaneers team. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick can keep up with the Saints. I feel like the Saints are going to put up a lot of points, whether it's 35, 38, this and that. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick can keep up with it. I think he will probably throw maybe 2 interceptions here. I got the Saints. I got the Saints in this one.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me.
Yeah, man. So, next game, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens.
There's another interesting game. The Bills last year were a playoff team. This year, I think the Bills are going to take a step back. I see them winning 5 or 6 games this year. They lost Tyrod Taylor, and I think they won a lot of games they shouldn't have last year. The Ravens to me are like an 8-8 type team, but they're at home, so I'm going to take the Ravens in this one.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'm going with Baltimore as well. I think Buffalo, I really liked their team last year. I thought they had a pretty solid young core of players, which they still do, guys like Trey White and adding Josh Allen to that mix as well. But I think losing those offensive line members, Incognito, Cordy Glenn and whatnot, I think they're going to struggle against this Baltimore Raven defense. I think the Ravens are going to be able to get after whoever it is, Josh Allen or Nathan Peterman. I think the Ravens are just going to shut Buffalo down offensively. And, being that the Ravens are at home, a place that they play well in, I have the Ravens winning.
Yeah, next game we got Steelers versus the Browns. The Browns, of course, made all the big, the acquisitions and free agency. They brought in Baker Mayfield, who's not going to be starting week 1. Tyrod Taylor will be. Who do you got in that one?
I got the Cleveland Browns in this one. And I know it's the huge upset. This is, it's probably not what you guys want to hear and stuff. But last year, the Cleveland Browns played pretty competitively against the Steelers both times. And granted, one time was against the Steelers backups. I understand that. But going back to last year, week 1, the Browns really pushed the Steelers to the limit last year. And it sounds crazy because the Browns are 0-16 and the Steelers, are a playoff team. But the Browns play the Steelers pretty tough, okay? And you add guys to the mix like Tyrod Taylor, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett's going to be there, okay? And I think being at home, the Browns stadium is going to be rocking. I think they're going to pack the house. You got new offensive coordinator, ex-Steeler offensive coordinator Todd Haley, who's a pretty, petty individual. He, deep down, he wants to get this win. He wants to go into Pittsburgh and beat the quarterback that kind of got him fired in Roethlisberger. So I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
I don't hate that. I'm going with the Steelers, but I don't hate that pick. I think that the Browns are going to be one of the most improved teams this year, and I love that you brought up Haley. Jarvis Landry is actually one of my favorite players in fantasy this year because I think Haley's going to do wonders for him like he did for Antonio Brown with his system. And with Ben Roethlisberger getting him fired, he kind of rejuvenated Ben Roethlisberger's career. So I thought Ben Roethlisberger was a little out of line when he did that. But anyway, let's get on to the next game. We got Chargers-Chiefs. Chargers at home, divisional matchup. That should be a really good game. Who do you got?
I got not the San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers in this one. I think the Chargers are going to be really good this year. They have so many great pieces on defense. Anthony Lynn really showed that he could coach last year down the tail, at the tail end of the season, stacking up win after win after win. After starting the season off kind of shaky, a lot of missed field goals, a lot of missed extra points and stuff, which costed the Chargers earlier on in last season. I think they're going to realize that they pretty much screwed themselves last year by starting off really slow. They're going to make it a point to start fast against a division rival, which this game will mean something down the stretch. I got the Chargers at home.
This is a great game this week. These are two teams that a lot of people are picking to potentially be sleepers for the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I am actually picking the Chiefs this year to go to the Super Bowl. I love the Chiefs. I like Mahomes a lot, and I'm excited to see how Mahomes will do against this Charger defense because it's one of the best defenses in the NFL. Mahomes making his debut. I'm going to take the Chiefs week 1, and in a very tightly contested matchup. It's going to be something like a 21-20 type game. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that you have the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl because I actually have the Chargers coming out of the AFC, so pretty interesting stuff. Next game we get the Washington Redskins at the Arizona Cardinals. Chris, who you rolling with?
All right, again, two pretty mediocre teams. This should be a very tightly contested matchup. Redskins are traveling all the way across the country. I got to go with the Cardinals because of that. I don't love the Cardinals this year. I think both teams are going to be 6-7 win type teams, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals in this one because of the travel.
Right on. I think you said it best. Both teams, they're not bad. They're not great. They're both kind of in the middle of the pack here. I actually have the Redskins winning this game. I think the Cardinals have they have more stars on their team. They have more star power. But I think as a team from top to bottom, the Washington Redskins have a better overall unit than the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going with Washington. I think Alex Smith has been a little bit underrated. I think this Redskins defense is also a little underrated. So I'm going with Washington with the upset.
You love Alex Smith. That's your type of quarterback.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's get
turn the
on
ball
to
over.
yeah. Let's get on to the next game here. We got Panthers Cowboys. This is another very good game. Two teams hoping to make the playoffs this year. The Panthers last year almost beat the Saints in Week 1 of the playoffs. In Carolina, who do you got in this one?
I'm going with the Panthers. Cam Newton, I actually have winning the Offensive Player of the Year award, teaming him up with new offensive coordinator Norv Turner. I'm going Carolina. I think Carolina is going to have a lot. They're going to be a lot more versatile on offense with guys like Christian McCaffrey, Devin Funchess, Greg Olsen. I think Norv Turner is going to bring a different angle to this Panthers offense that it hasn't really been there, in the past few seasons under Ron Rivera. So I think the Panthers are going to be a lot more dynamic as well as playing great defense. And I think they're just going to be able to shut down Dallas's offense. I don't think Dallas is going to be able to put up a lot of points on this Panther team. So if you could go into the game saying, hey, Cam Newton, let's just score 21 to 24 points, we pretty much have the win in the bag. So I'm going Carolina.
Yeah, I agree with almost everything you said there, and I think Dallas is going to take a step back this year with the loss of Jason Witten, Des Bryant, a lot of turnover there. I like the Panthers a lot this year. The Panthers are one of my 3 or 4 favorite teams in the NFC, and they're home. To me, this is a pretty easy game for me to pick. I'm going to go Panthers like a 27-17 type game here. I like the Panthers to win fairly comfortably.
Okay, yeah. So moving on to the next game, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Denver Broncos. Who you rolling with?
Okay, I actually like the Broncos a lot more than a lot of people do this year. I feel like a lot of people are down on the Broncos, and I'm down on the Seahawks. I hate their offensive line. Broncos, I love their potential pass rush. I think the Broncos are going to win this game at home. I think the Broncos win this game by about 7 points.
I got you. Yeah, it's actually funny because on my list right here, I have the Seahawks winning, but I'm changing it right now. I'm changing it to Denver because it's going to be in Mile High Stadium. I'm thinking Von Miller with new rookie Bradley Chubb against the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. I think if Case Keenum could just go in there, complete 62% of his passes, just take care of the football, don't turn it over, I think Denver can just, easily win this game. And I was kind of thinking, leading up to making this video, Russell Wilson's probably going to have a great game and stuff like that. But now that I'm thinking about it, he's probably going to be running for his life, running away from guys like Miller and Chubb. So I'm going Denver.
You know what? I'm impressed. I actually changed your mind there. That was pretty impressive on my part.
Yeah, man. So moving on to the next game, Sunday Night Football, Chicago Bears with newcomer Khalil Mack going into Lambeau Field, Green Bay. Chris?
This is one of the best rivalries in the NFL. Bears-Packers, you can't ask for a much better Sunday night game. You got Trubisky. A lot of people think he's going to take a big step forward this year. Packers at home, though, are always tough at Lambeau Field. I'm going to pick the Packers at home in the frozen tundra.
I think it's going to be a really, really close matchup. The Bears, I think, are going to be one of the most improved teams of the season. They added so many nice pieces on offense and really now on defense, too, adding Khalil Mack, one of the game's best players. But I have Green Bay coming out just in a squeaker. Okay, I think they're going to win by maybe a game-winning field goal at the end. A lot closer of a game than what people are kind of thinking. A lot of people, are saying that the Packers are going to win by 17 and 20 and stuff. I don't think so. I think it's going to be low scoring. I would assume 20 to 17, somewhere in that range with Green Bay, just barely coming out victorious.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's going to be a very tight game, but exactly what you said. I think they come out in a squeaker. Okay, so Monday night, we got your team. We got 2 Monday night games, but we'll talk about your team first. We got the Jets at Detroit. Who are you taking?
I hate to do this. I hate picking against my team, but I got to be realistic here. I got the Detroit Lions winning this matchup. I think Matt Patricia, the New York Jets, don't know what Patricia is going to be bringing to the table. Okay, they don't know what type of defense he's going to be running. They don't really know anything about this Lions team. It's the first week of a new head coaching regime. How can you game plan for him unless you're looking back to New England's tape, But who's to say Patricia doesn't want to do any of that anymore? So I think it's just going to be a lot for Sam Darnold, a rookie quarterback who's starting in an away stadium, right? So we're going to be playing in Detroit. I think Patricia's just going to scheme up a lot of different like zone coverages and stuff like that to try to confuse Sam. And I think right now, just point blank period, that the Lions are just more talented than the Jets. So I have the Lions in this matchup.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Lions this year. The Lions are always a pretty good team. For the last 3 or 4 years, they're always like an 8 to 10 win team, and I think they're going to be around that this year. I think they're a pretty good team, and they're usually pretty good in the dome. I'm going to go with Detroit here against your Jets. I think the Jets are going to be a pretty decent team this year, but I like Detroit here. Something like a 24-17 type game.
Yeah, I could see this game kind of being close in the first half, but then like as the game goes on, just Detroit's starting to pull away a little bit. The next game, the final game of the slate, we got the LA Rams against the I'll still call them the Oakland Raiders. I don't want to call them the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't want to do that. So the Oakland Raiders at home. Who do you got? Rams, Raiders.
Okay, so the Raiders are at home for this game, but the Rams to me are one of the most talented teams in the league, and the Raiders just lost Khalil Mack with that trade. I think this is going to be a blowout, to be honest with you. I got the Rams winning by at least 2 touchdowns. What about yourself?
Yeah, I got the Rams winning as well. I just feel like they're too talented. On paper, their defense is absolutely stacked. On offense, what do they have? The number 1 offense last year, or the number 2 offense or something. So I think with losing Khalil Mack, they're still going to be in California, so they don't have to go cross country or anything crazy. I see the LA Rams winning this game. So that wraps up the NFL Week 1 predictions. I want to thank my buddy Chris for stopping in, and expect to see Chris on these weekly pick videos, because I'm going to have him on every chance I get. He's a great football mind. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and like I said, he did pick the wrong team. So Jets fans, don't kill him for this one. But Chris, thanks so much for stopping in.
Ian, I had a blast. Anytime I could come on your channel, you could come on mine. I'm more than thrilled to do it. And you to me have the best football mind on YouTube. So thank you for the compliment. And I'm really looking forward to Week 1. And I hope we can make a competition out of this week to week. See who wins. Yeah,
that's actually a great point. I forgot to mention. So we're going to actually be keeping track of our picks, of our weekly picks, and then probably in the in the second, probably next week's pick video, we'll talk about our record and just kind of go head to head with it a little bit. But yeah, before I end the video, just wanted to let everybody know, again, where to find Chris's YouTube channel down below in the description box. The Entertainer Talking Sports. I call him the Tainer for short. And thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, go Jets.